Imagine waking up one morning to find out that your government has taken control of everyone's gold. Not just yours, but every single person's gold. It sounds like something out of a dystopian novel, but it actually happened. You see, back in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, the US government did exactly that. In March 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102, which effectively seized all gold bullion and coins from American citizens. And let me tell you, this was no ordinary confiscation. The government told everyone that they had to turn in their gold, and if they didn't, well, there were consequences. It was like a national treasure hunt, but instead of looking for hidden riches, people were forced to surrender their gold to the authorities. And then, just to rub it in, the government set a new official rate for gold that was much higher than what people had been able to sell it for on the black market. Now, I know what you're thinking, wasn't this just a normal recession? Well, not quite. This was a depression like no other, with unemployment rates soaring and economic activity grinding to a halt. The government was desperate to find ways to stimulate the economy, but their methods were questionable, to say the least. But here's the thing, this wasn't an isolated incident. Other countries had similar experiences. In Australia, for example, the government passed a law in 1959 that allowed them to seize gold from private citizens if it was deemed necessary for the protection of the currency or public credit. And in the UK, they banned people from owning more than 4 gold or silver coins and blocked the importation of gold altogether. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this is all well and good, but what about today? Well, let me tell you, things are very different now. Most countries have free-floating exchange rates, which means they can print money and control interest rates without having to impose controls on gold or other assets. But that's not the end of the story. The monetary policy trilemma, a cornerstone of macroeconomics, still applies today. It states that countries must choose between 2 out of 3 things, setting fixed exchange rates, allowing capital to move freely across borders, and controlling monetary policy. And you know what? Most countries are now choosing the latter. So, what does this all mean for investors like you and me? Well, it means that governments are generally less likely to restrict gold ownership today than they were back in the 1930s or 60s. In fact, most experts agree that owning gold is a safe haven strategy that's unlikely to be restricted by governments anytime soon. But here's the thing, just because something hasn't happened before doesn't mean it can't happen now. That's why investors need to keep in mind the one lesson from history that I want to leave you with today: anything goes in times of crisis. And trust me, we're living in uncertain times right now. With global events unfolding at breakneck speed and economies teetering on the brink of disaster, it's more important than ever to stay vigilant and prepared for any eventuality. So, what can you do about it? Well, that's a great question. One thing is certain, owning gold is still one of the most reliable safe haven strategies out there. And I'm not just talking about physical gold, I'm also referring to alternative assets with similar properties like silver or other precious metals. Just remember, when it comes to investing in these uncertain times, the old adage past performance is no guarantee of future success rings more true than ever. But one thing's for sure, having a solid emergency fund and diversifying your portfolio will always be sound advice, regardless of what the markets do. And that's it from me today. I hope you've learned something new and valuable about investing in uncertain times. Until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep those hard-earned dollars safe with gold.